Hello again, Steve here with a few words on something to do with improving the quality of our life experience, I think, which is this concept of constant. I know that a lot of people have said it, and I've probably parroted it as well, which is that the only constant in life is change itself. With a bit of thinking, though, that is probably not quite complete, because there are constants in, at least there appears to be constants in our reality, and we see them show up in science, which is, you know, an attempt. Science is basically an attempt to study what is truth, right? What can be measured and so on. And think of things like, I just looked up on Wikipedia different constants, and most of them I've never heard about, or been so long since I've had anything to do with them that they don't make any sense. But most people have heard of pi, not the pie we eat, but the pie with two lines and a little slash on top of it, which is a constant to figure out either the circumference or the area of a circle. Pi r squared, or 2 pi r. Pi r squared is the area, 2 pi r the circumference, right? And that's a constant that always exists if we're talking about circles. Another one is Avogadro's number. I remember the name of it, don't ask me what it is at this point, but I remember it from high school. And this is a constant apparently to do with something to do with mathematics. But they're probably constant. They're constants in terms of relationships for shape, dimensions, and what have you. And that's something that doesn't change. So that's why it's called a constant. And therefore, but there is something we can put our thumb on, really. I think it's a reflection of what is really truth in our reality, what we can anchor ourselves on. And I think if I was to look into it, or if we were all to look into it a little bit, we would find that a lot of these things have a relationship with what we would call law. Because a lot of these constants, they're sometimes called laws, right, in science. And law, of course, is something that's laid down or consistent, and it's not, it doesn't distinguish between individuals or circumstances. Like, gravity doesn't really care what we think about it. Pi, in terms of what it is, doesn't really care whether we think it's correct or it's not correct. It just happens to be correct. And I think this is helpful because to think of, to realize these sort of things in little doses perhaps at times, because it helps us, I would say, to become a little more grounded and realize maybe there is some order to what's going on. See, if we think that everything is just change and it's constantly change and this randomness and if everything was just change but there was no guidance system for the change, then things would just show up randomly. But if there are constants within the change, it becomes almost like a constitution, right? That things have to be performed in a certain way. You can have change, but it has to be according to the laws or the constants which govern or are the constituent of the possibility of change. I think that's refreshing because we got some sort of a guidance, some sort of a framework that we can look at things through and try to find out as clear as we can the truth from that. I don't know. What do you think? Just a thought on constants. Maybe you'd be interested in looking up some of them. I think I will one day. Try to connect the dots between the constants and our everyday lives, because so often these constants like pi r and Avogadro's number and so on, people study them when they do advanced mathematics and whatever, and a lot of times we lose sight as to what that actually means in our everyday lives. Now, that's what I like to do. I like to be able to ask the question, what does that mean in my everyday life? Somebody's talking to me about a God man who lived 2,000 years ago. I'm going to say, hang on a second here. What does that mean in our everyday life today? Let's forget about that for now and look at it. And the same goes for these sort of constants. What does that mean in our everyday lives? Well, I think that's where the order comes from, and the possibility that we can actually walk around as a unit structure, or what appears to be a unit structure. If there was complete just change without any constant whatsoever, then we would just float into disintegration, right? So just thought I'd share that. See what you think. Steve here again. Great chatting on as many topics as possible along the lines of improving the quality of our lives. Hope you've enjoyed. If you like it, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. Comment if you can. And we'll have to do this again. Bye for now.